What's going on? And welcome back to another episode of F1 Minute. And I gotta tell you, the Australian GP was wrecklicious, baby. It was wrecking everywhere, but it was exciting. They made changes to the track. They added a DRS zone. Oscar Piastri's home GP. Daniel Ricciardo shows up, which would have been his home GP, but he quit. But then he didn't really quit. He's a reserve driver for Red Bull, and it's really looking like he's talking about he wants to come back, but we don't know what's going on with Danny Rick. But I would like to know something else. We're going to start off with a few of these soft topics, okay? And of course, listen, share the link. We are live in studio, and then the episode will post later tomorrow on YouTube. Remember, this is your opportunity to call in. Live callers are welcome. You will call in. I will see that call. I will bring you up. You will get your F1 minute to say, do, don't do anything crazy. All right, no, nothing crazy. Say, do, rebuttal, make a comment, give me a question, whatever the case is. It's your F1 minute. You do what you want to do with it. But before we get into that, we're going to start off with our soft topics. And I got to ask you all, what in the hell was Masi doing there? I'm not sure if the GP was crazy because it was going to be crazy anyway, or was it crazy because Masi showed up, and when Masi showed up, everything went to an entire mess. This guy shows up, and I did not see him one time. I think this is the closest I've seen Masi to Lewis Hamilton, which is in this segment photo that you see just below me. I don't recall Masi talking to Lewis Hamilton. I saw him talking to Gasly. I think he talked to Alonso. Saw him talking to some other people. I did not see him talking to Lewis Hamilton. I didn't even see him at the Mercedes garage. But if anybody saw him, feel free to use your F1 minute and say, hey, I saw Masi at the Merc garage talking to Lewis Hamilton, and he told him he felt bad about what happened. He felt bad about the part he played in the debacle, a stain on F1 history forever, and robbing him, being accessory. Might be more than accessory, honestly. He's NDA'd up, so he can't really say. But what was Masi doing? I know plenty of people were looking like, hey, this guy shows up out of all GPs. He's going to show up now. Now, he does have another job, and I don't even know if it's worth mentioning. He does have something else he's doing in motorsports. And evidently, they probably trust him to run that motorsport. But as far as in Formula One, I would think that if I'm just trying to figure this out, because I thought Fabio was coming back. All right, guys involved in the Renault Crashgate entire situation got banned. Were not allowed back on the grid. There were some talks that they were going to lift that ban and they were going to be allowed back. I even recall, I think saw him in the paddock at some point in time, and it did raise some questions and concerns. Just as much as Masi showing up probably should have raised some questions and concerns. We know what happened was wrong. We know what happened was foul. Plenty of people have said so. And he just shows up. But keep it fair, I don't ever recall them banning Masi. All right. I don't think that Masi was in such the position where they could just ban him. Like, they were all part of the Crashgate. They organized that. They had a whistleblower that came out and said, you, and you we're all in on it. You told me to do it. Just to help Alonso, you told me to do it. We didn't or haven't quite gotten there yet with that situation. It seems like it's creeping there, right? We got the safety car driver comes out, and I got to say this. He comes out and he says that he didn't understand what just happened. He had to sit to himself, gather himself, still ask himself what happened. And then later, dialogue, he goes on to probably say it wouldn't have changed anything. That's not true. That's completely not true. It's not true that nothing would have changed had Formula One, the FIA, and the stewards, along with Michael Masi, went by protocol. We're just coming out of a GP that had 3 red flags. 3 red flags total. 2 red flags within minutes of each other. I dare you to look at any one of those situations and then compare the situation that happened in AD 2021 with Crash Tiffy and try to argue me and say that one is more valid than the other than to have a red flag. And really prove it. Really make it make sense to me. Like, oh, you know what? I can see how that situation wasn't like any of these three situations. All right? I can't. And I won't. Because I'm not blind. I'm not stupid. And I do have some common sense. So Masi being there, I don't know what he was doing. But hey, he was there. Things went crazy. I'm going to blame it on him. Oh my gosh. Will, coming at you right now, brother. What's going on, Will? Brother, I'm about to give you your F1 minute, man. Make sure your mic is on. Make sure you ready. You ready? All right, lights about to be out. Let's go.
All right. To this whole Michael Masi thing, I know he's supposed to be back there because he's the independent chair of the Sports Cars Commission and everything like that. I get it. And he's Australian. He's down there for the Supercars race. I get that part of it. But the major issue with all that is being back in that capacity during Formula One race, you have nothing to do with the FIA anymore. So to be there for that is a little interesting. I think Formula One is still a little complicit as far as what was going on with that whole entire decision back in Abu Dhabi, because now they have this traveling circus thing, the Formula One exposition that's going around in different countries, and they're selling these no Mikey no mugs, which was the communication over, we all know from Abu Dhabi, selling these mugs to make money, and you have that on the mugs. You're a little complicit in that, and that just looks pretty bad. Also, Peter Windsor came out and had some comments about the way that the race ended under the red flag. There was no issue with it in Abu Dhabi, and he said it before. If you could do it in this race, you could have done it back in Abu Dhabi, and everyone would have been fine. He said the main thing he realized was all the people in the stands were cheering, and that was his main point, was they would have cheered to watch Lewis Hamilton come across the finish line, win his 8th title, and everyone would have been happy. There was no need for it.
Ooh, Will laying it down. And I got to say, brother, you already know you welcome anytime. You just hit that button and let me know. Will brings up valid points. Peter Windsor saying so. Big shout out to Peter Windsor. I see you, Peter. Yeah, I just said it. Will just said it. Will just said that Peter Windsor said it. A lot of people are saying it. There is no excuse. If you did it 3 times in this race, you could have did it 1 time in that race. Not to throw salt in the wound of people that would like to act as if nothing went wrong and it was all correct. But I will be doing a video later on. I'm probably going to wait till the anniversary and just spend some time, sit right here on this mic, this camera, and just open you up and pour pink Himalayan sea salt in a wound. And hopefully it gets that infection out of you and you can understand and see like, aha, there was something done wrong there. We're going to go over it. Trust me. I'm going to go over. I'm going to take my time with that. I'm going to be real surgical with it. Surgical, but real blunt with it as well. So we're going to go on to our next topic, our next soft topic. And that is Russell Max 2.0? Russell is ruffling the feathers of many Mercedes fans. Now, I'm going to try to be impartial here. I, for one, nearly at first was like, hey, Russell's a good acquisition. And I still believe he is. I still believe if there's going to be a succession plan after Lewis decides that he's done with Formula One, and not until he says he's done. Because I've seen enough from Lewis to know that if he wants to remain in Formula One, he's still going to be competitive. I think you all should have seen that this weekend. We see constantly that Russell and Lewis manage to do things with a subpar car within the top 4, top 5. Right now it's shaking up. You got Aston there, you got Ferrari there, you got Mercedes, you got Red Bull. 5th is kind of open the gate. So we'll say top 4 that maybe other drivers couldn't do, right? So right now we have to give the drivers a bit more credit. So Russell, coming from a team like Williams Racing, dealing with a car that definitely doesn't want to work with you, is a little bit more comfortable in something like this. But I think people are trying to use that to shade Lewis Hamilton as far as what his capabilities are with being in a car that isn't great. Lewis hasn't always had the best car. But with Russell doing, saying, carrying on the way that he has, Mercedes fans aren't quite feeling that. They aren't quite feeling it. They feel like Russell's really not that team player guy. Now, I want to be very clear when I say this. There is a difference between being a team player and being somebody who is not part of the team. A very big, big, big difference, okay? Russell is trying to do things outside of the Mercedes ecosystem. And what Mercedes have liked to do up until now, which may be questionable, is they don't like to put their drivers on unfair advantages. Okay, they want to put their drivers on same strategies, let you all race, may the best win and come out on top. But we are not going to give you a Sabre with a dual end and more wattage and give you a sword made out of damn gift paper rolls that's been used 2 Christmases ago. They're not about that. We've already saw George came in. He wanted the tires. He wanted to switch. Mercedes let him switch. All right. So you can't fully blame George, but you can go ahead and put some of that at his feet because he chose to do so knowing what is supposed to be done. In this race, opening up and complaining about Lewis being in his rearview mirrors and lightweight panicking. It seemed like Russell was panicking to me about Lewis being there. And it seemed like Russell forgot about the fact that the Mercedes car is not the fastest on the grid. The RB19 is the fastest on the grid. And if the RB19 is the fastest and you have 2 Mercedes in front of that car, the team needs to do what they can to devise a strategy that will keep that car back there. Utilizing both cars, Russell, not allowing you to run off if you could, which I don't really think you could. I think we've seen plenty of instances where he can't. I think we've seen plenty of instances that Lewis's pace is just as fast in times, if not faster, than than Russell's pace. But what's happened a lot of times is Russell has benefited from the safety car. He has. That's just true. He's benefited from the safety car. Lewis Hamilton has not been so blessed with the safety car situation and our strategies. And it's worked out for Russell, and I got no problem with that. The guy still has to keep a job at the end of the day. And if he's trying to keep a job, the only other driver that's in as much pressure as he is being next to Lewis Hamilton is Perez being next to Max. So I do got to give him a little wiggle room, but I still got to call him on some of the character that is becoming a little bit questionable. All right, now at the end of that, he did whine a little, but he managed to say that, hey, you made a good call. Didn't work out. I appreciate it. And they did. They made a call. It didn't work out. And you should appreciate it because a lot of other times they've made those calls. It has worked out and you benefited from it. All right. So that's enough on George Russell. Let's go to our next soft topic before we get into the meats and potatoes of this. And that's Red Bull Racing, 50% of their RNC usage. All right. It's going. It's going. Red Bull is going, and a lot of people you have to think about this. A lot of people are saying right now that Red Bull didn't look so dominant in Australia. And I'd have to say that maybe they got a point. They didn't look as dominant, but damn, they still look dominant. I mean, the RB19 still was able to just fly around. It was able to fly around. I mean, I'm looking at it and I'm saying, it's happening. That's what I'm saying. Like, when you do that, going around the Mercedes like that, I mean, it was like it was easy. But does Red Bull have some issues coming up? They've used up 50% of that. There's only 4 allocations. You only get 4. They used up 2. They only got 2 more left. They seem to have a constant gripe with this drivetrain, this transmission. So are they about to experience reliability issues that they might not get a handle on? And if so, will that be enough that might impact them to the point where it might cripple their championship campaign? Right now, they're right out in front and they're comfortable. Even with this situation, Max still took home the W. Perez had a bad day, and I know a lot of people, including myself, are wondering what's going on with the setup of Perez's car. I mean, you had it right before. You know how Perez drives. You know how he likes his car. How all of a sudden you're that far off. It's almost like Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. How are you hundreds of millions of dollars apart? How do you go that far apart from Perez winning a race to Perez coming in this race and just the setup's completely wrong that you got a professional Formula One driver who's a formidable opponent, who is Minister of Defense, the MOD, the mod of all mods, and you can't get it set up right? I'm not saying, I'm just saying. All right. So with that being said, let's get ready to get into this. Ferrari. I think Ferrari are having a rough time. Now, I'm going to say this again. A lot of people were very excited about Ferrari, the SF23, when it came in. A lot of hype was around Ferrari. I mean, from the livery to the shakedown at the livery, which a team never did, until it wasn't. First race of the season, Charles thinks he's still in 2022. I said this. Then he finishes one, and now he doesn't finish one. At this point in time, it's 50-50, right? 50% of the blame is on Charles. 50% of the blame is on Ferrari. Who's going to get the lion's share of the blame by the end of the season? I don't know. Fred is not Bonotto. Charles is still there. So if this does go south, well, I don't like to say south, left, because I like south. I'm in south. If it goes left, common denominator. Charles, you the only thing they haven't changed. But let's talk about Carlos. If you haven't seen the parody, go check that out. It's on YouTube now. Carlos, if you never seen a man cry, you never seen a man die. Scarface, I'm going to quote him on that. Carlos cried in the car, y'all. He cried. And I'm not one to make fun of somebody for crying, but I'm just saying. That man cried. And he whined. And he pleaded. And he begged. And I thought it was damn right uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable to listen to. It was uncomfortable. I was so uncomfortable, I couldn't help myself. I had to make a parody about it. But I do want to say this. Charles got a few more races to prove if he's that guy or not. Because right now, Carlos is 5th. Charles is 10th. That ain't looking so hot for you to be the number one driver that far of a gap. You know, I mean, if we're talking about we want to see Charles and Ferrari just run it up, all right, that's not looking so good. And another thing that's not looking good, it doesn't matter. Like, even if Charles made this mistake, he's still going to attribute it to him being in that red car with that red team. And I got to wonder, is Charles going to question his being at Ferrari going forward? But Carlos got a 5-second and it was a bad day for Ferrari. He got a 5-second penalty, 2 points on his license for causing a collision. All right. He collided with Alonso. I know some people ain't mad about that, but I don't like to see drivers getting in collisions because it's part of their life. Although if they make it out, we can attribute that and add it to the wow factor of the race. As long as it don't go completely wrong, it's like, hey, this is all racing. But the moment a driver is seriously injured in any situation like that could put a driver in that situation. I never go into a race saying that I want to see an incident. I want to see a collision. I want to see an accident. I'm never going to go into a race saying that I purposely want to see somebody's life be put in danger for the sake of entertainment. Although Liberty Media and FOM and Formula One and Michael Masi and Jonathan Wheatley and Christian Horner don't mind doing things for entertainment. They don't even mind ruining the sport for entertainment. They did that already. But I am not that type of person. So what's going to happen with you already know he's on time and he's ready to grind. Let's get it. Let's get it, brother, man. You got your mic ready? Ready for lights out? Wow. You on the clock. F1 minute. Let's go.
So this whole Ferrari situation, I think, and I think I mentioned this before in some of our talks previously, John Elkann, who heads the Agnelli family, he's kind of like that nepotism. He came in to take control of the entire corporation after his grandfather pretty much handed the reins over to him. I think that when Charles went to him and went above everybody else that he could have went to in the organization to go to somebody that's not even involved in Ferrari F1 day-to-day operations shows that there's definitely a lot of issues going on in Ferrari, even though Fred Vasseurs came in to make some changes once Mattia Binotto was kind of shown the door. And I think that in the end, they're going to have to make a lot of other changes to actually start to become the Ferrari that we've known. They're still the most dominant team overall as far as championships, drivers' championships, and all that. We know they go on runs, they go away for a bit. But the thing is right now, they still need to make a lot more changes in their organization. Fred can do as many things as he can do, but I think that if you have drivers that are going above and beyond their team principles to try to make some type of change, they're realizing some other issues that are going on in the team, and they're just trying to cry out to somebody up above in the Ferrari family area to see if they can make any changes. And right now, they've got a lot of things that need to be changed.
Damn, he beat it this time. Usually he beats it a lot of time. By the way, brother, congratulations. This guy is 3-time back-to-back winner of Kickback Quality Trivia. I gotta give him his kudos, his champagne, his crap, and I'm giving him money. You should get that money soon, brother, man.
Got two.
Oh, shit, he already got 2. There's a third one coming, brother. There's a third one coming. Hey, let me tell you something. I don't never mind taking his call because when I take his call, he dumps on all of y'all. I'm trying to tell you that right now. So, Let me go ahead and let you all know that if you do want to participate in the live call, you do have to have a desktop or a laptop. If you have a mobile phone, you can participate and be in the audience. But if you want to have and take full advantage of what this entire product is made, an F1 Minute for me was made to involve you all as much as possible, to give you all a platform to get on and to say the things that you have, because I read the comments. I read all my comments daily until I can't anymore. I'm going to read comments and respond to comments until I can't, because if you take the time to come to my platform, watch the video, leave a comment, whether it's good or it's not, I'm going to respond in some way, give you some energy back, whether it's good or it's not, and then I'm going to go about. That is my job. So until I can, I will, and when I won't, I'll select only the family members of YouTube and respond to those comments, because I damn sure got a responsibility to those who take a bigger responsibility to me. All right. So if you want to participate in F1 Minute, get a laptop, get your auntie's laptop, your mom, your dad, your uncles, your cousins. Matter of fact, kids in elementary school going home with Chrome or MacBooks, get that, load it up, get on F1 Minute and say what you got to say, and they can answer the questions later. But you don't want to miss an episode of F1 Minute. You don't want to miss your opportunity to be on F1 Minute. All right. So with that being said, Carlos is 5th, Charles is 10th, and Charles is failing. If you think about it, he's completed 1 out of 3 races. That's not a passing grade. That's like 30-something%. You're not passing any test with 33%. He's only as many laps, 89 out of like 160, 165, 54%. That still ain't passing. Charles ain't even had really legitimately a full season yet. We 3 races in and he ain't had a full season with just 3 races. If this continues, that's going to look bad. That is going to look bad. That is not a good look. And as Will said and mentioned, Charles requested a sit down with stakeholders. He requested a sit down from the upper room. That's like when you in the military and you skip the chain of command, something better be really, really wrong. Because if you skip the chain of command and we find out it could have been resolved on a lower resolution system, oh my gosh, that is your ass, Mr. Postman. Do you hear me? That is your ass. You don't skip the chain of command. You go through the necessary steps, but Charles did that. He skipped the chain of command. So like Will said and he mentioned, if he did that, then he must really, really not be confident about what his organization at that level can do for him. And if that's the case, Ferrari might be needing to find out what they're going to do for themselves minus him. I'm just saying, I don't think there are too many teams that won't take him. I don't. I mean, Alpine to take him right away. It's all about him if he want Alpine. You understand what I'm saying? I don't see him going to Red Bull, but I'm not going to count him out. What if McLaren gets they crap together? What if McLaren gets their crap together? What if Oscar Piastri ushers out Lando and Charles is available? You don't think they're going to go for Charles? Well, I don't know all the contract situations right now, right off the top of my head, but if we can look up the years of when contracts are over and when not, Oscar Piastri doing pretty good right now for a rookie. Now, I'm not saying McLaren would just do Lando like that, but I don't know. They might. Zach Brown could be a cutthroat dude. We done seen him do it before. Like, Danny Rick, you ain't working out. You got to go. I want Oscar. I'm going to pay child support, Alpine. Let me know what the financial compensation you need. We'll take care of you, but you're not going to have him. So I'm not saying, hey, and what about Mercedes? We don't know how long Lewis is going to be here. But if maybe by the time Charles' contract is up, we're still waiting on Lewis's contract to completely drop on those details. I'm just saying, he's a good driver, but we saw this weekend the chink in his armor is the same thing as it was last season. He pushes beyond what he needs to, and he takes unnecessary risk at times. And when it cost him big. And it cost him again in this GP. All right? It did. So let's get on to our next segment. Our next topic. Alpine. Did I not tell y'all? I told you all. I made the video about this. These guys are not friends. And I said at some point in time this season, they are going to come together. I just didn't expect it would be Gasly to make it happen. I didn't think it would be Gasly. I thought the same guy that cut a corner in a karting days that hit Gasly to keep him from being great would be the same guy that will cause the incident. But this time, it wasn't. It was Gasly trying to get revenge on Ocon for clipping that corner and hitting him in that cart. Gasly comes over on his teammate and takes out both cars. Let's just keep it real. Gasly took out both cars, not Ocon. Gasly did. These two do not have the greatest of besties. We brothers pass, okay? They got a checkered past. They haven't really been bumping with each other like that. They don't even talk racing, and that's what Gasly said because they'll get into a heated situation. Now they on the team. Tell me how many times in the paddock, outside of some put-together interview where they have to be there, or when we just saw this manufactured social media post of them both close together talking to us and letting us know it's okay, nobody's mad, we're all glad, we'll scratch our ass and get along to the next race, we're kumbaya right here. I'm gonna tell you right now, I watched that video and listened to every word that was said, and it was uncomfortable for both of them. I think especially for Ocon, because Ocon has not been as boisterous about wanting to offer an olive branch to Gasly for situations. Gasly's even mentioned that he's reached out to Ocon and said, hey, man, let's just put this behind us. You do you, and Gasly said, I ain't never getting no apology from my guy. And now you done ran him off the road? Oh, no. I'm going to tell you right now. It's smoke in the city, and where there is smoke in the city, there is going to be fire in Alpine. Believe it. If these two manage to come together again, if it's not on fire then, it's going to be on fire at that point in time. If it's not on fire by then, at this point in time, if they come together again, and don't let it be Gasly's fault again. If it's Gasly's fault again, oh my gosh. Ocon is going, we've seen Ocon with other teammates. We've seen him with Perez. We've seen him with Alonso. We've seen how he is, how he drives against his own teammates. This time he got a taste of his own medicine by accident. But this is my problem. On this document right here, I got that Carlos Sainz was issued a 5-second penalty and 2 points on his super license for the collision with Alonso. On this document right here with Alpine, I got no further action required. I got no further action required, y'all. Now, can I take a look at something with you all? Can I do that? Can we take a look at something? I just want to take a look at something. All right. Right here. This is Sainz. This is Alonso. Alonso gets pretty much spun out by Sainz. All right. That's what happened. Sainz comes up underneath. I think he carried too much. Tires weren't all the way there. And Alonso comes. Alonso's actually trying to get our way. And Sainz if you look at where he is, he's not even in the proper place by the overtaking rules to have that to be just a racing incident. All right. But this happened. Now, I want to take a look at the Alpine situation. I'd be damned if, the wall's there. It's at a different part of the track. But essentially, it's almost the same thing, except for the only difference here is the outside car comes down on the inside car. So Gasly comes down on Ocon versus here, Carlos gets up into Alonso. Now, either way it goes, this should be a penalty. If Carlos got a penalty, why not has Gasly got a penalty? Oh, we got Will on the line. I'm going to bring him in. I'm bringing him in. Coming in hot. He's coming in hot. We're going to see what he got to say because he might just wreck it all up. Here we go. Here we go, my brother. All right. Here we go.
Ready?
Hey, no. Before we get started, can I tell you how much I appreciate you, brother? Can I tell you how much I appreciate people that when food is laid out, we got good biddles, got biscuits, we got good damn turkey, we got filet mignon steak, and Will comes and sits at the table and he eats. I don't know what's wrong with y'all. I don't know if y'all on some type of diet or you scared to get on, but Will, I appreciate you not being wasteful, sir. And here's your F1 minute.
All right, so this Gasly Ocon thing, I think I can piggyback on what you were talking about as far as the points being handed out and all that. We got to go back to 2022.
All right.
Gasly. I'm going to put Gasly in his own separate spot here. and take him out of this whole Ocon Gasly situation in Australia.
Okay.
Gasly is about to have a race ban because he was already very close to having, I think it's 12 points on his license to have a race ban. So with the tinfoil hat on, I'm thinking maybe that kind of was avoided for whatever reason. Maybe some people behind the scenes were able to make sure that he didn't get those points on his license, or have him be, have that whole, have a 5-second penalty or 2 points on his license for the same type of situation, because it does look very similar. But if he would have got those 2 points, then he would have had a race ban. I think he doesn't lose.
That's right, the 12-month period.
Yeah, I think it comes up in like July. So if he doesn't lose those 2, if he gains 2 more points in this race, he's going to get a race ban. But if he waits until July and loses 2 points, then he's in the free and clear. So I think maybe there might have been something there. I don't know. I'm just doing a little tinfoil hat thing on that one.
Damn. Brother man, that I did not consider, and you are exactly right. You are, God damn it. That's why, see, it's certain people. Like, when they call you looking for them, like, oh, shit, I'm busy. I can't answer that call. When Will called me, I was like, oh, hey, you got to hold on. I pick up that phone. I pick up that phone when Will called me, because when Will called me, Will calling me with some, hey, man, you stay right there, brother. You stay right there. When Will called Jay from Wolfpack, I'm picking up the phone because I know it's going to be real. Who the hell is this calling me at 6 in the morning, crack of dawn, and now I'm picking up the phone. It's Will. I'm picking it up no matter if it's 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m. I know that brother going to come with some hot sauce. And he's right. Last season, Gasly was in jeopardy of getting banned because of those points. And we even saw, I think, don't hold me to it, I have to go back and check. And if I don't, I'm pretty sure Will. I think there was already a situation that was in the atmosphere where he was about to, and they kind of finagled it like he didn't get the point, and they wait. It was really funny. But he's right, 12-month period. Just like Carlos now has to wait 12 months. He's got 2 points on there. It's a 12-month period. Gasly hasn't reached his 12-month period yet. And if he did get that, he would have a ban. So that you know what? I love discovering stuff like this, especially on the show. I want everybody to comment on this on YouTube, because Will just put gasoline on the fire that was already lit. Does that make it right? Because with Will bringing this to the courts, that looks like motive to do what should not have been done. If Carlos got that penalty, there's no reason why Gasly shouldn't have got his penalty. For real. That's just straight up facts. These are two teammates, the same team, shouldn't matter. Gasly took Ocon out. He came on over, didn't pay attention to him, and wrecked out both cars in good fashion, causing another red flag to come out, I may add. There was a lot of other debacle going on right there. I mean, back before that corner, you had Charles. Like, in this same instant, these two incidents happened literally in the same lap. Before Gasly and Ocon came together, it was Carlos and Alonso. And after them, I want to say it was De Vries and Sargent. A lot of things happened in this race at that point in time. Why is it that Gasly didn't get his penalty? And I think Will just brought up a very valid reason. I don't even think that's tinfoil cap talk. It ain't cap talk at all. That's legit talk. So y'all do what you want to do with that information. You take a look. I'm going to show you. Oh, we got Ed. Everyone, penalty. He's coming on. Let's see what Ed has to say.
What's going on, guys?
What's going on, Ed? So you know how this works, right? You're going to get your F1 minute. When I start the clock, you say what you got to say, all right?
Got you.
All right, here we go.
All right, one thing I just want to touch on the subject at hand. Sargent should have gotten a penalty, and Gasly should have gotten a penalty, or nobody should have, because Alonso went right back to the position that he was in. So, and restarted the grid, but unfortunately, De Vries wasn't allowed to restart, and obviously Ocon wasn't allowed to restart. So, that's just my point of view on that. But I did want to ask, because you guys are saying a lot about, George not being a team player and being a snake and all that. So my main thing is, like, when you want to appoint a number 2 driver, you have to have your teammate fighting for a championship, and you have to be behind him quite a big amount in points, right? So Mercedes is not fighting for a championship, Hamilton or George. And, the only person that Max has is Sergio, which I agree, they should both be allowed to fight for it right now. But why why are you so adamant about George having to be the number 2 driver if he's performing way better against Hamilton than Sergio is against Max? Because you're saying that George needs to be the number 2 driver to Hamilton, but you're saying that you would love to see Sergio fight against Max. So I just want you to explain that to me, and I want your view on that.
Okay, I will say this, and your F1 minute is about to be up. I will say this, I'm going to give you my view, and then if you want, you come right back. I'm finna give you my view now, all right? So what I will say is this, and I'm going to bring you back if you want to, and you call right back in to rebut, all right?
All right, no
so
worries.
what I will say is this. I myself do not think that Russell has to be forced to be a number 2 driver. But I do not think that in the grand scheme of things, Russell has really outclassed Lewis Hamilton. If you look at last season, Lewis Hamilton took a blunt of the grunt work while Russell did not, and he benefited from that. We've also seen Lewis Hamilton and Russell both not benefit. Russell benefit from safety cars, Hamilton not. I am fair and clear when I mean this, and I've said this several times as well, and the brother brings up a good point. Why would you want to see Perez be able to fight for the championship and not Russell? And that is a good point. And in that point, in the way he says that, in the way Ed said that, you really can't argue with that. You can't argue with that statement. Every driver's dream is to be a Formula One championship. So I do concede that to you, Ed. That is a true fact, that Russell should have every right. And he brings up another good point. Mercedes is not in a position where they're fighting for a championship at this point in time, but it is still early. It is still early. But until things change, it is factual what Ed said. So why not let Russell do his thing? I'm not opposed to that, but what I am opposed to is this. If the nature of Mercedes is to have both drivers on equal and fair strategy, neither driver should voice opinions or calls that are going to go against that environment or that character of that team. The character of Mercedes is to have both drivers, same strategy, or same equal playing field, go out, compete. All right? Go do what you got to do. And I'm also somebody who believes in this. If you can pass, then pass. I don't believe in people saying like, hey, just let him pass, but you got to be close enough to pass. We've seen plenty of people ask about team orders, and you're really not even on the back bumper or in the exhaust. Oh, we got another call. We got one from Will. Here we go. This F1 minute might get spicy. I like it. All right, Will, here you go. I'm going to give you an F1 minute, brother. Your time is starting now.
All right. I wanted to kick it off with congratulating Ed for calling in and having a view that most people that are tuning in most likely probably would see. They kind of see it the other way, but he called in and was able to speak his truth, say exactly what he felt like was a valid point. It's a very valid point.
It was.
And I just want to congratulate him because I know usually we just kind of, you and me going back and forth on these things, and I'm glad he did that. And I hope that opens the door for other people to call in and realize that this isn't a one-way street. This is a two-way street.
Right.
We all can have these conversations and talk through these things. And so thanks, Ed, for doing that. And what I wanted to say on the George thing is, I had a mentor of mine when I was coming up through the ranks, working for DOD. He would tell me when we would go into certain meetings and things like that, there were certain people in the room that would kind of like take over the meeting or take over the whole entire conversation. They thought they knew everything. And he would tell me, well, look at those people. If you're someone like that, if you feel like you know everything in that room, you need to leave the room. And that's something that always stuck with me. George has this tendency, and again, I fully agree with what I understand what I'm saying. George has this tendency to want to try to change the narrative or change what the teams are doing. So when he does that, if it's right, it looks good. But if he doesn't get it right, it makes the team look bad. It makes him look bad. And now it's him against them. But if he gets it right, which every once in a while he did, but if he doesn't,
it's ugly. It's ugly. Big shout out, bro. Appreciate that. That's what I'm talking about. Hey, big shout out, Will. You see the integrity, Will? Big shout out to you. Congratulations to Ed. We like to have more people like that here, more people that have different opinions, not even the same opinion. That's what I like. And Ed has a valid point. But at the end of the day, Will has a valid point too, right? And that's how Russell is sometimes. But I'm glad to see Russell at the end of that when the situation didn't work out in his behalf, when they switched him over to hard tires. Like I say, you got to be willing to dish out what you take. The safety car has saved and put you in very good positions a lot of times up until that point. You can't be too sore about it. You can't be too sore about it. But yeah, every driver should have a right to fight for the championship. I agree with Ed. I agree with Will. What I don't agree with is Russell's mentality sometimes as far as not seeming like he's going to fit in there. But I have always said that Russell is the best succession plan for Mercedes going forward. And I do believe that. So big shout out again to Ed. Shout out for that. So once again, if Gasly didn't get a point, Carlos shouldn't have got a point. And Ed made another good point with that. Points and penalties for everybody. He's right about that. He's right about that for Sargent, for damn Carlos, and for Gasly. But Will bringing up a very good critical point. Now maybe we can understand why Gasly didn't get that point inside the team ecosystem. Very good shit. That's what I like. That's what I like coming on here. I'm telling you, this is what I like. I like that sauce. So let's get to this next topic. If you didn't know, now you know. The AGPC, summoned by the FIA, not the FAA. They do planes. FIA is governed by doing cars. So my bad on that. But this track was crazy. This race was crazy. This event was crazy. There was a lot of things that happened. We had 3 red flags. I don't know in what race in history, if somebody knows and your Formula One acumen is that far back and you've been watching Formula One for 40 plus years or something like that, and you know, hey, there was another race, Jay, where they had like 4 red flags. But up until now, 3 red flags is abundant. 2 red flags within a lap or so of each other. But this wasn't the only crazy thing going on. All right. The promoter, the Australian Grand Prix Corporation got called in and got in trouble. All right. They got in trouble for not only all the situations that happened on track. That was racing. But they got in trouble because they failed to produce a safe and controlled environment. All right. So a lot of things went crazy. We got the 4th DRS, cars all off the track. I mean, this GP from the beginning was an eyeball. I mean, you go from free practice to qualifying to the race. Cars are off track all the way through this weekend. All the way through this weekend, there wasn't one day that you did not have a car or multiple cars, not even just a car. There's not one day you didn't have multiple cars off track. It was crazy. You got a 4 DRS zone. It's crazy. They made changes that enabled more speed and more overtakes. It's crazy. We had wrecks and debris everywhere. It's crazy. We got 3 red flags. It's crazy. But the only other thing is they have to be able to contain and produce a safe environment. And they failed to make it safe for spectators. They failed to make it safe for technology. And they failed to make it safe for drivers. So in this document right here, it's really in regards to Hulk, his car. Spectators were able to access and get to this car. I don't want to say access. They were able to get to the car, and the car was not in a safe mode. Okay. It was an unsafe mode. It could have discharged, could have caused damage to a spectator, or could have caused damage to the car, could have caused damage anywhere. The track, the corporation, the promoter did not have the right safety measures in place to keep that from happening. So they had to go through an abundant amount of things to not only prove that they understood what was going on, which they admitted to it. All right. They admitted to it. They said after comprehensive review, the early track breach and marshals protecting Hulkenberg's car were conducted. Review of the plan will be conducted. All of this stuff. So then we got promoters urgently present a formal remediation plan to the FIA. They got a promoter has asked that they be given. So they're asking to be given until June 30th, 2023 to carry out all of the things above. OK, they need a comprehensive plan to talk to all the people that were around Hulk's car. They need a comprehensive review of the plan that will be conducted. They need recommendations will be documented and provided to the FIA and the ASN, and consulting with the Victorian police. They've asked till June 30th that all of this is given that time for them to carry out these changes. So in the world of aviation, like I said, with the FAA, you'll have audits, and with these audits, sometimes come findings and corrective actions. All right. So with findings and corrective actions, sometimes you have a finding or you have a mention where there's something that could be taken care of right there. There's really no need for us to write it down as a finding, because if we do a finding, then there needs to be a CAR, which is a corrective action. Right. So with this, they have pretty much corrective actions. These things have to be carried out, and then that auditor has to be able to come back and see the programs and processes that you have put in place to remedy the situation that lied before it. So now the track is in a situation where they're pretty much under review. All right. They're under review. Does this risk the track having the race next season? I doubt it. This was the most exciting race, given it's only 3. This was the most exciting race, action-packed race, complete race of the season. I'm pretty sure they don't want to take this off the calendar. I'm pretty sure of it. That's not going to happen. But what does have to happen is they do need to demonstrate that they can not only protect the drivers, protect spectators, but protect the cars and the technology. And it's even rumored that a spectator was injured by debris that fell off from one of the incidents. Here we go, Will, with the AGPC. Here you go, Will. I'm giving you an F1 minute, brother. And your clock starts now.
All right. So you just actually brought up one of the things I was going to say, the spectator being hit by debris. Apparently that came flying off of the car when Hulkenberg hit that wall and went over the fencing and hit a spectator, lacerated their arm, and it was like minor injuries. So that happened. Again, all the different things that you brought up is definitely they have to look at how they're conducting business there at Melbourne Park. I think that is definitely a major issue. The car, the issue with the car is the biggest one, I think, because they were saying it was unsafe. So they said it had that red light on the
right, the red flashing lights,
by the T-can. So if that's there, then that means it definitely is in a state where it could electrocute somebody, basically. And that's why a lot of times the drivers, they do that. They call it like the halo hop, where they'll just hop on the halo and then jump off the car because they know that's the only way to safely get out of that car. Right. All those lights mean different things. Purple, it's good. Green, they're coming down the pit lane, all that. So I think they really should look into that because that, of course, could have been a lot worse than what had actually occurred. And I didn't even notice it during the race. I didn't even notice it. Hamilton was the first one to come over his radio to say there are people on the track, which is absolutely insane. So I hope they do look into this and try to do it as well.
Big shout out, bro. Yeah, facts. And I'm going to tell you what, if I get hit by a piece of car, I'm getting that. I'm getting that. They need to.
And that other thing with the FAA, sometimes there is the FAA involved in Formula One when like Alonso goes airborne at the USGP last year, stuff like that. That happens. Zoe did like an inverted loop and was like, he was doing the Top Gun thing.
Right. Sometimes it happens. Damn. So not only is Will coming with the good info, he coming with the jokes. I thought I was only jokes around here. Damn, that was a good one. That was a good one with the inverted rollover in the Top Gun. That was a good one with Alonso going airborne. Matter of fact, I don't know if you all seen, I think it was like, 2003 or 2004. Alonso managed to come from somebody on the back and go airborne in the car. I guess, he can't drive from the back. And by the matter of fact, let me add this. Will telling me that, me saying this, makes me think of something else. I didn't hear Alonso say that Carlos can't drive from the back, that he can only drive from the front. I didn't hear him say that. I heard Alonso say some disrespectful, downgrade things about Lewis Hamilton during their situation. But I didn't hear Alonso cracking on Carlos. I didn't hear that. Why didn't I hear that? Why didn't that come out? Why did we not hear Alonso on radio say, oh my gosh, this idiot, he can only drive from the front, he can't drive from the back? Because clearly Carlos came from the back and blasted you, bro. He blasted you. So yeah, I don't know why. I'm just saying, Alonso, you want to answer that? Was the difference Lewis Hamilton? You really, it's kind of the same situation too when you think about it. But yeah, I don't know. I just know I didn't recall him saying anything like that. So anybody got an answer for that, feel free to let me know. So last but not least, we get into HAAS, and HAAS ain't gonna take long because HAAS is wrong. No, they not. I gotta say, Aston Martin, Red Bull definitely, Alpine, and HAAS seem to be able, without a hitch, to voice petitions, appeals, and fight to get their drivers in the positions they need to be. What's wrong with Mercedes? Mercedes seem like the least team to do any of this. Alonso runs into a situation. Alpine probably should have done better with the Ocon situation, but they didn't. Alonso's team, Aston Martin, did, and they did a great job with it, by the way. That jack touched the car, which I still believe they shouldn't have got away with it, and I still don't agree with the reason. Like, just because you didn't catch it the 7 other times doesn't mean that it's okay to let this time go. What that means is, we got it wrong 7 other times, but your example is not identical to yours. Those times were about the front jack. In question was the rear jack of Alonso's car, but still, Aston Martin put a package together so well that they mind F, the stewards and FIA, and they said, hey, Russell, you got to give the trophy up, bro. You got to give it back to Alonso. And Russell even said that when he saw Alonso in the airport, Alonso told him that you lost the position. I don't know where he got that information. Stroll pockets are deep. But here we are in a situation. Hulk, K-Mag was having a rough weekend period. He had rough. I was really like rooting for them and saying how I thought Haas was taking the right direction with having the drivers they had, being conservative, being, good enough to show you that the car has pace and give you feedback, but not wasting money on a top 5 driver. Let's leave it at that. With a car you don't have that can take a top 5 driver somewhere. You need both. But in this situation, Hulk gains positions during this whole aftermath debacle, and inevitably they reset the grid according to where cars in their positions could be last recalled, and they petitioned it. They fought for it. They went up for him. They went to back for Hulk. And I do like that. I do like it. It's not like it was a dirty try. It was a legitimate try. And the stewards and FIA came back with a very legitimate answer. And I agree with it. I think it was all done correctly. I think this is the way things should be, right? This example is how it should be. Your team's going to come up. They're going to review everything. They're going to review camera views, GPS, although the GPS was malfunctioning completely, but they're going to go off that. But to be fair, let's just say Haas was taking a very large leap because there wasn't even a full lap completed. And I think we kind of all know that, but they tried. And I like the fact that Haas tried. Although I really don't root for Haas because they're the most un-American team on the grid, and I think they should do more, and I'm always going to say that until they do. But right now, Haas is trying to do what Haas has to do. And at least right now they're not. Because remember, I used to always say, above the door at Haas, when you come through their facility, is a big-ass sign, wood carved out and burnt with gloss all over it, that says, if you ain't wrecking, you ain't racing. And up until this point, it's been pretty much true. Now, K-Mag tried to ruin that all together, and likely did, because K-Mag took himself out, in my opinion. I haven't saw any other reports about K-Mag, so Haas had a pretty rough day too. I haven't saw the reports on K-Mag, maybe something broke on the suspension, but from the video, what I saw, it looked like he just came wide, hit that wall, and damaged his own car. And then that additionally brought out red flags. And Hulk, it just didn't go his way. But I think Haas is still in a good position as far as what they're doing. I think they have 2 drivers that they're basically paying less than $7 million, or right around $7 million for the both of them. That gives them more money to put into their car. I think that they're with a good team. I think that they are when I say with a good team, they're pretty much customers of Ferrari, except for the power unit. I don't know how that's going to go. They are the white Ferrari, and up until right now, I think they've done decent. I think we might actually see, some things from Haas, but I'm going to tell you this. Haas has been in trouble, right? Haas got into a whole situation where they were basically, through Haas automation, servicing Russia. Like, I can't dig that. I can't do that. Haas has to do better. Haas was in a situation with sponsorship. They sucked at it, and they got MoneyGram right now. MoneyGram even had damn lawsuits. Haas has to do better. Haas literally had Mazepin Dmitry, who was like basically Putin's second cousin. Like, what are you doing? You're supposed to be an American team. What are you doing? Oh, wait, got Will on the board. Let's go, Will. About to give Will his F1 minute. This one might be hot. I don't even know. I might have to close this up. Will going to have to be hot. I got you, Will. Boom, you got your F1 minute, bro. Go for it.
Oh, Haas. Let me tell you. Haas, this one, I can't understand how they're worrying about little things like this with the F1 team and all that, and they get a lot of presses covering this. Just last month, during the same thing, and you touched on this, the issues that they have with the main company, which is Haas CNC, for their computer numerated their whole machining company. They've been still dealing in back and forth with Russia, selling product and all that with Russia. $2.8 million worth of product that's still going back and forth. They can't. They're pretty much telling everyone that's investigated this, whether it's the PBS report or whether it's the Economic Security Council in Ukraine, that said, where did these 18 machines go $2.8 million worth between the time that you said you stopped dealing with them in October, all last year. So Russia invades, you're still doing business with them. You shut down the whole thing. You take delivery off the car in February. You're still doing business with them early in March. You get rid of the Mazepins. You get rid of Uralkali, but they're still sending stuff to Russia, and they can't show anybody. They just put out a statement saying, "Oh, that's false." Well, everyone wants to see receipts because the Economic Security Council of Ukraine has receipts, and it's not looking good.
Finish that point, brother. I'm gonna let you finish that point. You deserve it. Finish that point.
It's not looking good on their end because between the PBS report wasn't just something that they didn't just start doing that because, they came from the Economic Security Council in Ukraine saying that, we did some investigating because you said you stopped doing business with them, but we're showing all these other things going on. So when HAAS said we canceled 50 contracts, there were still things being shipped. There's things showing up over in Russia after that. And it also piggybacks on to they had been doing business with them back during the Crimean conflict back in 2014. So that was the connection. PBS went over to this place called Raytep in Russia, which is another place that deals in getting certain CNC materials, machines, and stuff like that done through HAAS. Because HAAS is the number one CNC company in the United States. They have a lot of business, over $1 billion in income every year, 1,300 employees. That's their thing. So when they were looking at this whole RATEP thing, they were telling them, hey, we've been dealing with them since Crimea back in 2014. The U.S. put sanctions because Putin did his thing in Crimea with that whole issue, and then they put more sanctions once he reinvaded Ukraine back in February of 2022. The big issue is that even though they might still be doing business within certain terms, there's still certain things that they're basically looking for them to try to pull out the same way that other companies did that are doing business with Russia. So they even said we don't have a smoking gun yet, but where there's smoke, there's fire, and they really feel like this is now coming down to we don't want to it's not a witch hunt, but you know what you're doing. And if anything, when companies like Hewlett Packard or Intel and all them pulled out, or even McDonald's pulled out, that's different. You're directly supplying the companies that need to build machines that are for their satellites, for their military equipment and all that. That's what HAAS does. Those things go to them, and they deal through a company called Abamet, which is another Russian company. So they're like the middleman. They make the stuff at HAAS in California. It goes to Abamet, and then it goes to Russia. So that's where everyone's issue is that you know what you're doing. You're still making money, and just because you're not directly connected to Russia, that stuff's still going over there. So that's where the concerns are coming up, because you're still making money off of this stuff. And there are other companies that do it, like they were bringing up Siemens in Germany, or there's a company in Japan called DMC Mori. There's other companies that still do these things, but they do it within certain guidelines. And the issue that they're having is HAAS is the only one that seems a little more shady, because there's still advertisements post the time that they were doing this, and certain media in Russia that's still running after they said they were done doing business with HAAS and their machines in the background and things like that. So they're kind of looking at it like, no, this doesn't seem right. You're still making money off of this stuff. You might have had contracts that you canceled, but there are ones that were still in place, and you're making money off of it.
Yo, I'm telling you, Will, thank you, brother. I'm trying to tell you, they be coming with that fire. Listen, this is why I tell you, I gave Will the extra minute? Because he deserved it. He made a good point. He was coming with information like I told you all. This show is really more about you than it is me. It really is more about you than it is me, all right? So listen, this is F1 Minute. We had a great episode, great conversation. If you think about it, we were all over the place. It was awesome. It was beyond awesome to have Ed call in with an entirely different perspective and a question, and a very valid one. And the way he posted was respectful, but it was like, hey, I want to know why. Why do y'all feel this way, or why do you feel this way? And for me to explain myself, and we'll come back and rebuttal. That's what I like. That's what I like. We could be aggressive. We can even get high-headed. But as long as you're respectful, don't get too crazy and pass the line. We having a good, healthy debate where people can say, you know what? You got a good point. You got a good point. And that's what F1 Minute is about. So with that being said, wait a minute. I got some fun stuff coming up. Will say going to close us out with some fun stuff. Here we go. I'm going to let him do it. All right, bro, here you go.
Got to get this in here. So we have our F1 Fantasy League. All our teams in there. We got 10 teams in there. We got the Wolfpack Family Fantasy League. And the ones that are in there know. I made up a little bar chart here. All right. So there's me at the top in 4th place. That's not ideal. That's bad. I don't want to be in 4th place. But as you can see over the 3 races here, all right, blue is Bahrain, orange is Jeddah, and then gray is Melbourne. So I started out all right, but then I don't know what I did in Jeddah. That is a mess. I have no idea what happened there. And then I started to catch up in Melbourne, but all I gotta say is there's a few teams here, like Head Turners Racing and Head Turners Racing 2. That's like Red Bull and Alpha Trouble. He's got 2 teams. What's going on there? What's going on right there? I don't know about that. He's got 2 teams. He's doing the Red Bull AlphaTauri thing. What's going on? What's going here? The algorithm though is killing it right now. That's like that's
I saw that.
Like back in the day, Mercedes back in the 2014 to 2020 era right there. He's killing it.
I saw that.
Arasham, the judge, following it up. He's like, they're going back and forth like Ferrari and Mercedes. It's crazy. Grid hotties, though. I'm coming for you because you're in 3rd place and I'm in 4th. Grid hotties. I'm telling you, I'm coming for you.
Yo, if you didn't know, Wolfpack has a fantasy league. They do a lot of things in the Discord. Like, really, Discord is another place from Wolfpack. The family gets in there. I really like that to be their thing, and I get in there sometimes, but it's really for you all, and they're doing a great job at coming together, different teams, different people, different perspectives. They really be in the community chat. It's an awesome thing. Big shout out for Will, point that out. He was honest, he ain't doing well, but he's trying to come, and Blue Diva's definitely trying to put her package together. So with that being said, that is another awesome episode of, actually, this is the best episode, I think, of F1 Minute, all right, with the mixture it had. What other good weekend happened then on Australia GP's weekend with everything going crazy, going up? That was a good time to have it. We will be back. Now, listen, there are some races that won't be happening, right? But that doesn't mean we won't have an F1 Minute on a Monday, all right? We still may have that. There's going to be some travel in mind with mine. I got some things to fly around the country and take care of. I'm still going to do my due diligence to make sure that we have an F1 Minute. If not, trust me, we will be back off the back of a GP weekend, Mondays, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will see you all soon. Thanks for watching another episode of Wolfpack Performance. Don't forget to check out some of my other content on Formula One and motorsports topics. Like, share, subscribe, and we go live on the weekends. See you soon.